Hello YouTube. Well, today the tractors have begun cutting the roadside and spring is beginning to spring. Things are starting to turn green out here. Still a lot of dead stuff. A lot of things to be cleared away, but you know, it was very interesting. A little piece of advice to a lot of people. I would have been outside filming, but I'm sitting here now with all of my all of my lower lumbar screaming at me. Then I started thinking about it. You don't realize how a lot of the things you do when you're younger contribute to big problems when you're older. Now, backache may not seem like a big problem to a lot of people, and a lot of people can sleep it off or sit in a chair and it goes away, but when that crap starts hurting you day after day after day after week, you start to really think about all that hunching over you did in school on those crappy little chair desk combo things. It's not a chair and it's not a desk, it's just one of those things you gotta to. I didn't think about it back then, and people always told me, says, you keep sitting in those things and using those things, and eventually you're going to have all kinds of back problems when you're older. And think about all the computer desks that are designed the way they are. You have to hunch in them. You have to hunch over them to use your computer, I hadn't thought about this. I did this for years, and I strongly suspect that that's why I'm paying the price now. I think I'm paying the price in lower lumbar pain. Always feels like it's hyperextended, always. So be very careful with your back. Take care of your back. Your back has to get you through your whole life, and you don't want to be in a position, let me tell you, when you have to heft yourself up into a tall truck and your back is hurting, you've never felt anything scream at you like flexing your lower lumbar when it's been sore. You pull that leg up after you've climbed in there, you pull that other leg up in there, and it's like, oh! Yeah. Definitely take care of your back. That's the big piece of advice I have for today, for anybody that's watching. Above all other things, you can have a heart attack, or you can have this or that, the other, usually when you have a heart attack, that's it, you're gone, unless you get to the hospital in time. But things like your back and your joints and your muscles and your eyes, and these things that they got to last you your whole life, and if they quit on you early, you really suffer through the rest of your life. So the only thing I can tell people is take care of those things that have to get you through. I personally am very overweight. Well, I'm not super overweight, but I don't like the fact that I am, and I think that's also very heavily contributing to my back problems, having to carry all this stuff up front, But you don't think about these things when you're sitting in a city for a long time, and there's not really much effort you have to expend to do anything. But when you get out in a rural area like we are out here, and everything is work, everything is work. There's no small effort to doing anything unless you plan it out. There's no small effort in anything. Yard work, clearing the brush, which we're going to be clearing brush for over a year. There's just so much on this acreage, and two people, the two of us working together with hand tools, we're getting it, but you start to appreciate motorized equipment after you've had to do things like that. Some of those dadgum hand loppers and trimmers, they really need to design them better, because those things will tear your elbows and shoulders to pieces. You come in, and for like 3 weeks after doing a heavy day of yard work, your elbow, right up in here, man, and then right up in here, you can't lift things, you can't flex it right. Now, after you've worked at it a while and you get a little stronger, it's all right, but you'll always get that little tendonitis in your elbows. It's almost like tennis elbow, but it eventually works out. When it goes away after a while, you find that you can work further before you get it. So you do get conditioned in that regard, but take care of yourself. Take very good care of yourself. You don't want to you don't want to mess things up that you're going to need when you're 40, 50, 60 years old or beyond. Of course, if you're a fat ass like me, you're probably not going to make it that far. Though my grandfather made it to, what was he? I think he was 87 when he passed. God, and the only reason he went down was because he overdid it when everybody told him not to. That's the other thing. As you get older, one of the things you start to understand is, people always tell older people, don't overdo it. You're not like you used to be. That's friggin-lutely true. There are things now at 40 years old I could do real easy at 20 years old, but they hurt to do them at 40 years old a little bit, I can't imagine what it's going to be like at 60 if I make it that far, So make sure you keep yourself in a monicum of health, exercise regularly. I know it's a pain in the ass. You can't play with an iPod and exercise at the same time. Well, they're fixing that now with some new things, but take care of yourself, man. You'll regret it if you don't later. And I'm not being a crotchety old fart. I'm just telling you, man, all those things those old people say, you're going to regret doing that later on in your life when it starts hurting. They ain't kidding. Oh, they ain't kidding. I don't think a person should exercise to the point of being a bodybuilder, but at least maintain a small amount of muscle tone. And being a little fat doesn't hurt, man. But, you go to the other end of the spectrum, there's people that die young because they work themselves to death exercising. So get yourself to a point where you're happy, and kind of hold it that way. That's all you really got to do. People who are happier with who they are tend to live longer, who they are and how they are. Diets actually subtract some years off of lifespan because what you're basically doing when you diet is you're engaging in some form of malnutrition. Malnutrition is never good. Never good. It always degrades a body in some way, shape, or form. The best way is keep active. Keep active and burn those calories. Don't starve yourself. The other thing that happens when you starve yourself, they've kind of proven this. I'm not sure if it's absolute proof, but I've seen where it seems that way, is if you deprive yourself of food and you use starvation to diet, the minute you start touching food, your body goes, you get 2 or 3 times as big as you were because your body goes, oh, food, I better get it while I can and store it because the lean times may come back around again. And your body does that. Your body has a survival mechanism that if you go for a long period of time without food and you suddenly eat good foods, your body says, oh, here's the nutrients I need. I'd better put them back before hard times come again. Your body is programmed to survive, and it's going to do these things. There's no way to trick it, You can also be careful of diet drinks. Aspartame and these other things, your body thinks you're taking in sugar. It starts doing things pancreatically, and you can screw your liver up. You can augment diabetes. You can make it worse sometimes by taking diet drinks because it tricks your body into that response to sugar being present. So, just be careful what you eat. Don't be a dumbass, Match your intake with your activity. A 2,000 calorie diet may not be suitable for everyone, but for people who work all day, 2,000 calories, if you got to burn it, you got to burn it. Match your caloric intake to what you're doing, and always try to have a little more than what you need, just a little, so your body can repair itself and put a little back. Because everyday life is not constant output. Some days you're going to exert yourself more than others, and having a little more gets you over that gap, and you're not sitting there shaking because you've expended your food supply. So that's about it. At least that's the advice from a dumbass like me. Don't get me lying, I don't know everything, but I was just thinking about that as I was hurting myself out in the yard. But use some common sense. I know it's not very common around anymore, but you'd be surprised how far a little common sense will take you. Take care, YouTube. Bye-bye.